Ruby Sapphire. Once the deck of the meta. It was everywhere. It was dominant. There wasn't a tournament you'd go where you wouldn't find it at the top tables. But now that rotation has happened, there isn't a tournament you'll go that you'll see it at top tables. The Hiram ban wasn't even that bad for it. Sure, it hurt, and there were other ways you'd have to go now, like for example using Tamatoa as your new draw engine with Popsicles. But rotation is the one that really sealed its fate by getting rid of Be Prepared and Popsicle, as well as some other key cards like Scarvicious Cheater could have been a replacement for Be Prepared as your board clear. Things like Medusa and Brawl were, and Sisu, who could forget, were some really, really heavy hitting cards that the deck needed to still be a dominant threat. That is gone now. And in this Blurple build meta with Amethyst Steel running around and Amber Steel running around, they go pretty wide sometimes, and you don't have Be Prepared to clear it anymore. You don't have Sisu to take care of things. It's quite troublesome for Ruby Sapphire to even try and compete with the big decks these days. So I guess the question is, what would the most competitive Ruby Sapphire deck kind of look like? I tried to build something that I thought might work. It's not bad. It just doesn't stand up to the rest though. So this is a list I kind of settled on as a pretty general, well-rounded list for the meta. I'm currently playing this in the SLTC in-house. It's just something fun we do if we want to try out new things or refine decks for an upcoming tournament or something. So we just kind of play against each other. I'm currently 5-3, which is better than I thought, actually. The only thing is those 3 losses were to Blurple, all of them. Which is where I find the deck kind of struggles with. I do find it's quite fine against everything else. There are some games where you just kind of get threat after threat and you can't deal with them all. But yeah, I guess I'll just kind of quickly go over it. So you got 4 Basil, 4 Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts is good because a lot of people don't expect it these days anymore. And then I also have the Shift Queen of Hearts in here to kind of be a sort of a draw engine as well. So she's been pretty solid so far. You got T-Point Sail, your ramp cards. You've got Moana, which is a really good anti-evasive card. Plus, it gets to pump up your little guys like Queen of Hearts or Tipo or Basil if needed be. Pumping up Basil's kind of funny because you can just use him to support afterwards as well. And then you've got Scrooge, just a big guy. You've got, like I said, big Queen of Hearts as sort of a draw engine. She's actually really good as a draw engine. But once the opponent kind of figures out that's what you're hoping for, they're gonna stop, exerting their characters for the most part. So that's a bit of a flaw with it, but sometimes they have to, right? Sometimes you don't have a choice. You can't just sit there and not exert. But that's a big flaw of Queen of Hearts. But otherwise, she's pretty solid. You got Donald Duck. He's sort of like a draw card, right? He ramps you up when you play him. Also decent stats, decent questing. Goofy's been really good as anti-evasive tech. I kind of think I want to max out on him. The problem is the uninkable count, so I have to play around with the numbers there somewhere. I've got 4 Shark, 4 Hades, and 4 Maleficent Dragon, all of which are the key threats to the deck. Hades and Mal Dragon just remove something on sight. Shark is Shark and just really annoying. I've got Pirate's Life, I've got Visions, Sail, and Develop as my actions, and I also have 4 Energy Blast, which, yes, is a bit strange, but it's actually worked out really, really well. Being able to banish a character and draw a card right away, it's what we needed. The biggest thing I do wish is it was inkable. I believe there's Out of Order, which is inkable, and it's the same thing except you don't draw a card. It's literally just Dragonfire, right? Out of Order, but inkable, and it costs 7. So I guess if I needed to cut down on uninkables, I would swap that in. But the drawing the card is actually it's a huge difference maker. It helps you keep up in card advantage. It helps you. It's really good card to get back from Shark as well. It's won me lots of games, and I really like it. I guess the big question for me is, would I have won those games with Out of Order there instead? Maybe, but I do think the drawing the card was really important there. That's why I have 4 of them. I thought it was really good. You can probably trim it down as well. You can probably play like 2 or something. But I wanted to make sure I've seen it enough times to see how it feels. And it did feel good. But yeah, that's the deck for the most part. Like I mentioned earlier, Blurple was the matchup that I felt pretty difficult. We did have, you know, threats to match up to theirs. Like, Shark was something they had to deal with. Same with Hades and Maldragon. But the problem was, if they did, if we play Shark, they just play Hades, and then sure, we can Hades their Hades, but Hades isn't that threatening, right, to them. And they do have ways to clear Hades or Maleficent Dragon pretty efficiently. Like, Shark's probably the biggest issue for them because, you know, they either have to run in a bunch of things into it, or like have Hypnotic plus Yago. Like, there's ways to deal with them all, which is the issue. And the bigger issue is that they have ways to refill afterwards. We don't have that liberty. Our way to refill is Queen of Hearts and hoping they have stuff to swing into, and that we have characters to do that with. Or having Shark stick around and somehow getting a hit off into getting Visions or Develop or even Energy Blast or Pirate's Life, right? Like, we don't have Second Star or Finders Keepers to just keep going over and over, which is the big issue compared to them. But it's not like unwinnable. It's just that you're gonna need some good draws to get through it. Like, you need threat after threat. You need Shark into Hades, into like another Shark, into a Maldragon, and then hope they can't deal with all of it all at once, right? And that by the time they do draw all their cards, then your board is just too wide and too threatening for them. So there's ways around it, but it is still a difficult matchup. As for other matchups, like Green-Blue was actually not too bad. The Maleficent Dragon and the Sharks are sort of immune to the Heads Held High, Under the Sea, you know, Drowning combo because of their 7 attack. So they need like double Heads Held High and then an Under the Sea somehow. Their spot removal still works, like Basil or Hades. Those will still work on them, but if you're bouncing back a Maldragon, it's just coming back down, right? If you're bouncing back a Shark, that one's a bit annoying, but I'm still just going to play it again, right? So Hades is pretty much their main answer to those cards. They can also You're Welcome it. Energy Blast also puts in a lot of work in that matchup. Just being able to shoot a Clarabelle and draw a card for it, or shoot a Basil or a Hades, like shooting a John Silver, like all of those, like that. I think that's where Energy Blast actually impressed me the most. It was being able to banish one of their cards and cycle was really solid, especially with Green-Blue not really swarming the board too much with threats. As long as you can maintain, you know, 1 for 1, 1 for 1, 1 for 1, eventually you should get there, just by sticking a dragon or a Maui. But yeah, then again, there's like some cards like Queen of Hearts probably won't get much value at all in that matchup. Against Amber Steel also felt not too bad. Sure, if they go with their nuts openers with like daisies into like, or Aurora into Tiana and like all that stuff, then it's really annoying. Especially Tiana, with this being a bit more challenge based, it's annoying. But you do have ways around that. You've got Basil, you've got Moana to kind of pump up your characters to be even bigger than Tiana's debuff. Or if you do have to pay for it, it's not bad. Like Moana, Scrooge, Queen of Hearts, and Goofy, they all kind of get around that just by paying 3, right? And they'll still clear the Tiana. The issue is obviously if they have like bodyguards like the Prince or Pluto, then things might be a bit off. But it does well fighting back against Amber Steel. The 2-cost Queen of Hearts is really good against their Aurora openers, because sure, if they go Aurora into Tiana, then you can just kind of clean up the Aurora and then figure out an answer to the Tiana later. Scrooge puts in a ton of work, and then you're just hoping that they go a bit slower because of that, so that way you have a chance to crawl back into Shark territory, into Pirate's Life. Like, Shark and Pirate's Life is still something that's very, very, very strong, and that's something that really helps fight back in the games that you've had to hold them off in the beginning, so that you can survive late game. But yeah, those are just some of the matchups that were played, and that's felt fine. Overall, I'm impressed by the deck. I actually thought it would be not good at all anymore, but it is still pretty solid. And like I said, the biggest problem was Blurple being in the meta and being able to refill over and over. Like Dumble, for example, everybody loves that elephant, right? So that's also an issue, that we don't have a good cheap answer to Dumbo. We've got Goofy, but it's not cheap, right? So that'll usually take your whole turn trying to answer just the Dumbo, and it also requires it to be exerted. But yeah, it's better than I thought, and I definitely think it's not too bad of a bring. I don't know if I'd bring it to a massive tournament like a DLC, but if you want to bring it to like a set champs or something, I think certainly fine to do so. As for things that I think the deck needs, it definitely needs a draw engine. It needs a better one than just relying on Queen of Hearts or Shark to get things back. It needs something. It needs something better. And it also needs a better way to... It needs a board clear as well. Like, we don't have Scar anymore. We don't have Be Prepared anymore. We don't have ways to clear a lot of characters at the same time. So those two are, I think, the main pain points that I see. There are some other builds I've seen out there. This one I saw, or something similar to this. I don't know if this is the exact list, but I saw it doing pretty well on Lorcana early on in the season. This one, sort of similar. It has the Hades, Shark, Maleficent Dragon as kind of the threats. I feel like it wasn't playing Break Free, but I feel like I threw that in. But anyways, Leela was also really good, just to ready up your Goofy or your Shark again, get another swing in. It's also got Mulan, the Mulan package, which is a really good anti-aggro card. Being able to banish multiple characters a turn, especially if you shift her, she can spread that damage out. It's actually just a good card in general, because if you do get that shift line off and you do get a good hit in, you can clear out up to like three characters, right? Or at least deal a good amount of damage to one. Yeah, and then obviously Mulan and Shark paired with Beagle Boys plus Break Free is pretty nice. Kita as well is sort of just, I guess, there for extra ramp. Also having Ward it's a pretty safe character. There's nothing really to sing that you'd want like a safe warded character for. She's just there as extra ramp, I think. And then you got Scrooge as well, which is really solid. But yeah, this one was doing well earlier on. I don't know how good it actually is. Lilo, I've always liked the idea of in Ruby Sapphire, but I just don't think there's enough reliable actions or ways to play 3 actions in a turn, right? Like, it would have to be chaining develop into vision into sail or something like that, right? Or multiple develops or multiple visions. And a lot of that I find relies on Shark getting at least one hit in, which isn't always the case these days, right? Like, without Vitalisphere, Shark doesn't really have that kind of come into play and hit something. So that's why Break Free or Beagle Boys is in here, because you hopefully can kind of catch them off guard like that. But I think it's much harder these days when people know to expect it. This one was just a fun one that I kind of put together. Maximus in Ruby Sapphire was always something that we liked to theory craft, and I feel like Maximus could still be good these days. Just getting passive lore from a card is kind of crazy. So in this build, it's focusing more on Maximus plus like Helping Hand to give support, so you can get something up to 10 attack pretty easily if you have Maleficent Dragon or you have Maui Shark and you Helping Hand it. And you quest with the Shark or the Dragon, or you Helping Hand the horse and you quest with that and put it onto the others. Then it becomes 10 attack, and then you've got your 5 lore at the end of the turn, which is pretty nuts. It's also got the Pete package in here, sort of, where, you know, 7 cost Pete. If you have a Pete on board, you get to banish an opposing character. It's like mini Maleficent Dragon at home ish, but like still a lot worse. I don't know, it was just a thought. Lumiere kind of buffs up stuff too. Even the 3 cost Pete is 5 attack, that's something that could trigger Maximus. I don't know, it's just a thought. I just want to throw it out there. And finally, we got the Powerline deck, which is something that JDZ has been playing a lot of on stream. It's actually really, really fun and really solid. This was the first deck I tried playing Ruby Sapphire again with. It's really fun. It's very high rolly and a bit inconsistent. The problem with this deck is that if you don't have Powerline, you lose, I think. The good thing about the deck is it's very fun. It's quite challenging to play if you're unfamiliar with it. And if you do get the shift Powerline combo off, you usually win. It's very, very high rolly, I think. So basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to shift Powerline on 4. You're trying to sing any song, really. Ideally, you know, down in New Orleans. And that way you get another Powerline, or you get you get a Shark, or like even King Candy or Lilo are good hits, right? Getting any of those are solid hits, because King Candy will get your card. Shark is just Shark. Lilo gets to ready out the Powerline to sing again, or just to keep safe from being attacked back. And then from there you just keep chaining the songs, right? So on turn 4, you shift Powerline, you sing Down in New Orleans, you get a Lilo, you ready a Powerline. Powerline's ability will hopefully hit another song, maybe Dig. That's another 2 free cards you get to your hand. Even if it hits Pirate's Life, that's 2 free lore. If it hits Bee King, that's still a card removed. Like, Powerline is a pretty underrated, it's maybe not underrated, but it's like underexplored card. The problem is, like, it's really hard to find a good working shell for it when a lot of our songs were cut from rotation. So this does seem like the best shell currently for it. The problem is the rest of the deck is okay. It's not the best. And that's why I say if you don't find Powerline, it's kind of all downhill from there. Hopefully you find it and you get going with the combos. Like, you just got to keep chaining songs. That's all you got to do. And like, I will say, playing Dig off of Powerline is kind of insane, because that's just like 2 free cards. We love drawing cards, right? And especially with a Shark on board, you just keep gaining passive lore over and over every time a song is played. It's a fun deck. It's a really, really fun deck. And this is also something that I will probably bring to a set champs. I definitely want to play it some more. But yeah, in the end, I think that pretty much covers, I guess, the state of Ruby Sapphire post-rotation. It's in a pretty sad spot, but I definitely wouldn't say it's unplayable. I want to say like tier 3, maybe maybe tier 2? I don't know. Tier 2 might be too generous. We'll say tier 2.5, but it's definitely still playable. I still feel like there's something there. I still feel like there's also like maybe a build with Sisus as well, the little Sisus. The problem is, like, with her being uninkable, it's hard to get them out of your hand. Just like playing a 3-cost 1/1 evasive just sounds so bad, right? And there's no, like, you can still play Coil or Ice Block, but is it really worth it when it's just little Sisu, right? And not to mention, it has to be enough to reduce it down to 1 strength or lower, which is not the easiest for most characters these days, right? But yeah, I still feel like there's possibly something there that can make this maybe a tier 2 deck, at least. I think if we want to see a tier 1 deck, we're gonna need quite a bit more support. Hopefully next set, Whispers of the Well, we'll get something. I mean, they showed like the detective stuff, right? There was like a few blue and steel ones, I think, like Nick and Judy. So, I mean, maybe that'll be the route we go. Who knows? We'll have to see where it lands. Kind of crazy how it went from, you know, the most dominating deck to you're never gonna see this deck at all. So, I don't know. I'm sure there's still hope out there. But thanks for watching.